Prime Minister Netanyahu, let me say this to you this evening. The Irish people could not be clearer. We are repulsed by your actions. Ceasefire now and let the aid flow safely. This party has, and under my leadership will remain, a party that is unafraid to speak the truth to power about the humanitarian catastrophe we are witnessing in Gaza, and to voice in no uncertain terms the moral outrage of the Irish people. In Gaza, we are witnessing a humanitarian catastrophe, and we are seeing innocent children, women and men being starved and slaughtered.
So you know Leo Varadkar, the Prime Minister of Ireland, who stunned everybody last month by resigning after his visit to America, where he commented about similarities between the Irish people and the Palestinians, as well as how Irish has similarities with Israelis. Anyway, so he came back and then he stunned everybody by announcing that he was quitting. So the new person who has been appointed as Prime Minister of Ireland is somebody called Simon Harris, a 37-year-old politician from Fine Gael party, and he took oath of the office and he's been speaking quite regularly. So his speech in particular about Gaza has elicited outrage, from the Israeli government, as you would expect, because it doesn't suit the propaganda of Israelis. So he made 3 speeches since taking over, since being announced as the new leader of the Fine Gael party and therefore the new Prime Minister of the country. He made 3 speeches, and I'm going to play all the 3 speeches for you to understand what he said. The development is that the Israelis have reacted angrily, and they have not liked the fact that, Simon Harris has used such harsh words for Benjamin Netanyahu and the actions of Israeli forces and the brutalities being committed by them in Gaza in the last 6 months. So the first reference to Gaza by Simon Harris was made when he was formally announced as the new leader of Fine Gael party.
We will always support democracy and freedom, and we condemn unreservedly the horrific illegal invasion of Ukraine by Putin, and we stand by Ukraine always. This party has, and under my leadership will remain, a party that is unafraid to speak the truth to power about the humanitarian catastrophe we are witnessing in Gaza, and to voice in no uncertain terms the moral outrage of the Irish people. I repeat my calls today for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the immediate unconditional release of all hostages, an end to violence in the Middle East, and a political process to bring about a 2-state solution. Let Ireland be a force in the globe for that.
So as you can see, he talks about, the brutalities and the, atrocities being committed in Gaza. That was the first speech. The second speech he made was when he addressed his party workers or delegates of his party 5 days ago, where he addressed Benjamin Netanyahu and said, "To Benjamin Netanyahu, I say the ceasefire now." I mean, that was a really, really powerful speech. It was a 3 minutes long segment, but you can see from the applause of the delegates that how much his commenting on Gaza meant to everybody present in the hall.
In Gaza, we see a humanitarian catastrophe worsen before our eyes. We absolutely, fully condemn the massacre carried out by Hamas in October, and again we call for the unconditional release of all of the hostages. But we cannot and we will not stay silent on the actions of the Israeli government either. Because, ladies and gentlemen, reason has been replaced by revenge, by bombing, by maiming, and by the death of children. Famine, a spectre no Irish person can bear, and anyone who can countenance deliberate starvation has lost their sense of humanity. Prime Minister Netanyahu, let me say this to you this evening. The Irish people could not be clearer. We are repulsed by your actions. Ceasefire now and let the aid flow safely.
And then the third speech that he made was when he spoke for the first time in the Irish Parliament, the Dáil, as the new leader of his party and the Prime Minister. And amongst the various other things, about about the priority of his party and his new government, he also talked about Ukraine and Gaza. And on Gaza, he said that, how can you be blind? How can you be blind and not see what is happening in Gaza? So therefore, it was natural for Simon Harris to mention, the happenings in Gaza, including the famine and the, atrocities being committed on children and women and unarmed civilians. So this is what he had to say.
In Gaza, we are witnessing a humanitarian catastrophe, and we are seeing innocent children, women and men being starved and slaughtered. We have not been silent on the unforgivable terrorist actions of Hamas on October the 7th, nor can we be silent on the disproportionate reaction of the Israeli government. And as a country, we will play our part in helping bring about ceasefire and a lasting peace. Later this week, I will travel to Brussels and deliver those messages to Europe on behalf of the Irish people. Ireland's position in Europe is vital to our economic and social success. It has in many ways now become a part of our national identity.
Now, what has happened is that all three speeches have now evoked angry reactions from Israeli government as well as the Israeli ambassador in Ireland, and they are not really happy by the fact that Simon Harris has repeatedly been talking about or raising the plight of Gaza civilians, but not really addressing Hamas as terrorists or condemning the terrorist actions of Hamas. So they have reacted angrily, hoping that it will force the new government to mend its ways. But that hasn't happened. But unfortunately for Israel, the Simon Harris's party has snubbed its request and said that, look, there was absolutely no ambiguity in what Simon Harris had to say in his speech. He was absolutely clear, and we don't have to give any clarification. So well done, Irish government, and I hope you continue to stand on the right side of history. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of many ways you can support independent journalism. Thank you very much. God bless you all.